What's good, everyone? OJ here. Welcome back to another video. Today we've got some awesome information for you guys, so let's go ahead and get right into it. And we're starting off with a huge milestone for the Nintendo Switch, and that is 15 million systems sold in the land of the rising sun, Nintendo's homeland there. 15 million units sold, 184 weeks to do so. Obviously, we already know about the news that the Nintendo Switch passed up the Wii in overall sales. It's already blown past the PS4. It's above the GameCube and pretty much most of Nintendo's home consoles in Japan. So to see that the Switch is at 15 million units plus and counting is extremely encouraging for the future of the hybrid and portable type of system that Nintendo is going for. And to be honest, it makes sense considering that they're not having like another strictly portable successor. That successor to the 3DS was literally the Nintendo Switch Lite. That was the system that was portable only, so they get those dual action sales here, because the sales of this 50 million are Switch and Switch Lite just counted as one. So you're going to see a lot of benefits of that when it comes to software and also when it comes to hardware sales. And obviously, as we can see right here, the best-selling Nintendo home console or anything that's considered that since the Wii. So very good to see that. Now, another thing that we have to mention here is the top 5 best-selling games in Japan for the Nintendo Switch. We're going to go ahead and start off at number 5 with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe at 3.1 million. Number 4 is Splatoon 2 at 3.5 million. Number 3 is Pokemon Sword and Shield at 3.7 million. Number 2 is Super Smash Bros. Ultimate at 3.8 million. And at number 1 is Animal Crossing New Horizons with a staggering 5.6 million, guys. This is the Famitsu sales numbers, and this only covers retail when it comes to the sales of the games. The digital sales are not included in that, but still, these are phenomenal numbers. And once again, very good to see the Nintendo Switch break 15 million units sold, being the most successful home console Nintendo's had in Japan for quite some time. So very good to see that. Now, what's going on with the future of it? This 15 million, what does it mean necessarily for us, the gamers out there? Well, obviously, you're going to see more support on the system. You're not going to get everything like I've talked about before, but Japanese developers are definitely looking and seeing the Switch and how well it's doing and saying, okay, we'll see what we can bring over when we can bring it over. We've gotten the rumors about Monster Hunter, which I do want to talk about a little bit here. But there are Monster Hunter rumors, and we actually have Duscombe who doubled down on those rumors of Monster Hunter being shown off. And I know also there was the guy that works at Digital Foundry. I know he talked about it as well. He's like, hey, I wonder what's coming up for Monster Hunter, because there was a sale and there's TGS. So there's definitely people out there that are talking about Monster Hunter. And I think that if the Switch didn't have these explosive sales, they would have just been okay with World, right? So I think that there's something happening there. But even another developer, for example, like the Legend of Heroes series, right? The Trails of Cold Steel, stuff like that coming over to a Nintendo platform, which it's usually only on PlayStation or PC or whatever the case is, but now those coming over to the Switch, very good. Ys 8, Lacrimosa of Dana, stuff like that from Falcom coming over. There's been a number of developers that have been more interested. Now, there's still some more room to where they can go, right? But just seeing all the stuff like the Final Fantasy games, just seeing a lot of stuff that Nintendo missed out on before on the Wii or the Wii U, seeing them get those type of games is very encouraging, and it's because of the explosive sales of the system, which I think are going to continue, and next year we're going to get something pretty cool. I think we're getting a revision of the system with a little bit more power, but we're going to have to wait and see on that one here. So what are you guys' thoughts on the Switch crossing 15 million units sold in Japan? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, and moving on to the next topic here, guys, we have the Ubisoft Forward event, kind of my review and my thoughts on the games. If you want the full breakdown of everything that happened at the Ubisoft Forward event, I'll have a link in the description to where you guys can check out all the announcements. I'm going to be going over the announcements that I thought were pretty cool. So the number one thing that I want to talk about first is Immortals Phoenix Rising. This to me is like God of War, Kid Icarus, and The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild had a baby. Like, it's just like the baby of those 3 games, and here you go. It looks pretty cool. There's a lot of gameplay footage that's up. There's previews from various different content creators that are playing the game and everything, and it seems like it's really cool. They talked about it more in the Ubisoft Forward event. I watched the Let's Play of it that they had afterwards, kind of going over what you can do in the game. And here's a quick rundown of the game for those who didn't get to see it. Now, Immortals Phoenix Rising is a fresh and witty take on the open world action adventure genre, featuring dynamic action, combat, and stories inspired by Greek mythology. Roam freely across a beautiful stylized world and use extraordinary abilities gifted by the gods against fearsome mythological monsters, treacherous trials, heroic feats, and the very underworld itself. Await your bravery. Key features in the game are wield the power of the gods, various different gods from Greek mythology that you can have the power and get weapons from them, confront mythological enemies. You got Medusas and you got Minotaurs, you got all that stuff from there. You can explore a stylized world, beautifully rendered. The game actually looks really good. I'm hoping the Switch version looks good too, but it looks like we're looking like at PC footage or Xbox Series X or whatever the case is, because it is coming to a slew of platforms. And that exclusive demo on the Stadia, which is just very interesting. But the next features here, guys, overcome heroic trials, which are kind of like shrines, puzzles, and stuff like that, to where you can earn upgrades to your stamina. And then you can also build your legend, so you can customize your character, you can customize skin color, the look of the character, everything like that. So it's pretty cool. Looks really good. I think that was the highlight of Ubisoft's show, was the Immortals Phoenix Rising game. It looked great. It looked really good, and I cannot wait to check it out. Probably get it on Switch and also get it on Xbox Series X. It launches on December 3rd, so it's not too much longer before we get this game. Now, the next thing up here, guys, is Scott Pilgrim. It's the same game that we got back then, but undelisted, right? So it's Scott Pilgrim. They're calling it Scott Pilgrim versus the World, the game complete edition, and it's coming back. It'll be back this year as well, and it's pretty cool. People have been asking for Scott Pilgrim. It's an old school beat 'em up with the pixel kind of style there. A lot of different power-ups that you can get, good story too kind of put in there as well. So Scott Pilgrim is back for all the fans, which people kind of anticipated that Scott Pilgrim would come back in some way, shape, or form, and now we've got the game back here. Now let's go ahead and get into the next thing here, guys, and that is Prince of Persia. This is a somewhat controversial take on Prince of Persia when I first saw it. And what's going on with this game? Is there a Switch version? Is there not a Switch version? Like, what is up here, guys? So there was an announcement. Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time Remake was officially announced for the PS4, Xbox One, and PC, and it will launch on January 21st, 2021. Now, the controversy here is not the game, because the game is actually really good. It's a remake of the original 2003 game from the PS2, Xbox, and GameCube, where you have this really cool dagger that can reverse time. You have great combat. I mean, everything was great in that game back in the day. But the problem, I guess, was the graphics. People looked at the remake of the game and said, this is not up to current generation standards. Now, the only issue that I saw when I first watched it, I was like, yo, this actually looks pretty cool, because I was comparing it and they actually had, you know, side by side, or they had footage of the old school game. And I'm like, okay, yeah, it looks a lot better than that. I was like, yo, this looks great. But people online are comparing it to current generation remakes, so like Resident Evil 2 or Crash or Spyro or Shadow of the Colossus, a lot of that stuff. So when I said everyone's saying that the game looks bad, I thought it looked good. I was comparing it to the original, not comparing it to the current standards of the games that we have today. Obviously, it doesn't look as good as Resident Evil 2 or some of the other remakes that we've seen. It kind of looks like they remade the game for like the PS3 or like the Xbox 360, which I definitely admit that. So sorry for being, you know, or sorry for being kind of confusing on my thought process. I was just simply looking at it compared to the original, saying, yeah, this is a much bigger, or this is much better than what we saw there. But obviously, compared to the newer generation games with the remakes that we've seen, it's not up to the level that we've seen with there. Now, it is early footage, guys. It was alpha footage. It's not complete. It's not finished. I guess they really just wanted to talk about it, right? So that's the reason why they included it in here with Prince of Persia. But they probably were better off with the teaser trailer than maybe announcing it, you know, later or something like that, because people are really kind of bashing the graphics and everything. But I do want to talk about some of the features in the game. Then we'll get into what's going on with the Switch version, or if there is a Switch version and everything, because they said that there was no Switch version. They didn't announce it for the Switch, but then like GameStop and other places have like pre-orders to where you can get it on the Switch. And also, it's a budget title as well, so that also might explain why the game doesn't look as good as what you would expect. It's a $39.99 title. It's not a full-blown Resident Evil 2 type of thing. It's definitely a smaller title from what Ubisoft is seeing it as. So you could embark on a journey as the prince to prevent the powerful sands of time from falling into the hands of the treacherous visor. Master the sands of time and use your dagger to control time itself. Fight cursed enemies and solve puzzles along the way. And the key features are Classic Reborn, reimagined for today, You can fight new enemy character models. Great stuff there. Wield the power of time, which this is the really cool thing about the game. This is like the hook. Master the sands of time and use your dagger to reverse, accelerate, freeze, and slow time itself while solving puzzles along the way. They say breathtaking graphical updates. So immerse yourself in ancient Persia with more realistic graphics, pre-baked rendering, and VFX as you fight cursed enemies along the journey. And everybody was just basically bashing the graphics. So breathtaking, maybe not compared to today's standards, but definitely a lot better than the PS2 and the GameCube and the Xbox. Modernized controls, camera, controls, and combat have been completely rebuilt and updated for today's standards. Choose between original or modernized mapping. And you can also expand the experiences with bonuses. There's old school unlocks and stuff like that. So, like I said, I thought it was pretty cool that they showed off the game because I like the game itself, but obviously the graphics aren't up to snuff. But if you go on the GameStop page, like I'm looking at CheapED, and there's a GameStop page for Prince of Persia: Sands of Time, and it says there's a Switch version. This Prince of Persia: Sands of Time remake, Nintendo Switch. You can pre-order it. This seems to me either it's a big mistake or that this is going to be announced at a partner direct or something that Nintendo's going to be doing later. Those are the only two things that I can even think about when it comes to this. So maybe that's what's going on here. But there's been multiple listings. It was even up on Ubisoft's site as well at one point or something like that. I'm not sure if it's still there. I have to research it a bit more. But it seems like it is coming to Switch. It's just not announced yet. So we're going to have to wait and see on that, which matched the original leaks that we got for Prince of Persia Trilogy Remastered or just Prince of Persia Remake or whatever, which it matched that there was a Switch version of the game. So we'll have to wait on that one. So what do you guys think about all this different news that we talked here? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Check out the links in the description. We've got Twitter. Go and give us a follow on there. Stay up to date on all latest gaming news and information. Also, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and share this video if you can. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll catch you for the next one. Peace.